Queen Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
After the great success of our Gold Card program, we will now be expanding it very strongly to include other useless crap that entitles you to exclusive Trump-branded citizenship experiences. Take, for example, this gold-plated chandelier. For $10 million, it will entitle you to an actual air traffic controller at any airport you land at for 1 year. This is a very strong privilege. How about this beautiful vase? You know, they tell me it belonged to a very famous man, Abraham Lincoln, before he was very sadly shot at the Kennedy Center. For $6 million, it can be yours, entitling you and your family to whatever's left of Medicare after this year. These wooden table legs, boy, can they hold up a table. Any naturalized U.S. citizen who purchases these table legs for $10 million will be protected from deportation to any foreign torture prisons. What's that? Elon wants them?
Public question. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Hey, what is happening, everybody? And thank you for dropping by on another hump day and spending a little time watching Tim's Tidbits. I certainly do appreciate that. I am Smooth Tim, the host of the show, and appreciate you guys again tuning on in and spending your Wednesday with me. Oh, anyhow, hey, quickly, I'd like to give a shout out to last week's listeners before we proceed any further. Those of you in the United States, in Poland, in the United Kingdom, in Africa, Canada, Ireland, Canada, France, Mexico, and Australia down on under. Thank you guys for tuning on into the show. Whether you're tuning on in live or you're watching a replay, really do appreciate it. And real quickly, if you'd like to catch up on any replays of any past episodes of Tim's Tidbits, you may do so by simply going to the YouTube channel, and in the YouTube search engine, drop in The Queen Sylvie Show. And that is the hosted channel that has all three of the shows that I'm involved with, as well as some other projects that I'm involved with. Appreciate it if you'd stop by, take a look at that channel. While you're there, please subscribe. Anyhow, hey, let's move right on into tonight's show. And One of the things that I love about America, I love going through our national parks, our national monuments, our state parks, our state forests, national forests. It's all beautiful, beautiful land. And I'm hoping it's going to be there for decades to come for my children, my grandchildren, all to enjoy, just as I was privileged to do so throughout my life, along with my family. But in any regards, again, another executive order has come down the pike, apparently relieving some of the national monuments that are out there. Some of the national monuments would be like Devil's Tower or even Mount Rushmore. Those are national monuments, not national parks. But in any regard, some of these other national parks, national monuments rather, currently are under attack. Let's take a look at some of these things that could possibly be going by the wayside because of Trump's executive orders apparently deregulating some of the usage of these lands. Check it on out. A lot of these are going to be going away, folks, all because of an executive order. And let's think about this and why. Because of the resource that may be involved with that particular area, whether it be in the oceans, and it could be done for fishing, so somebody could profit off of the fish, the wildlife that's there. Same thing with some of the other areas. Or whether they harvest it for some of the minerals that may be underneath the earth that these monuments and mind me, national parks are going to be coming next. Sit on. If there's a resource underneath it, you can bet this administration would like to deregulate rather any type of protection that it may have and get whatever resource, whether it be aquatic, mineral, out of it and squeeze whatever dime they can for profit. Trust me. Watch what's happening. In fact, let's take a closer look at this particular case scenario as it comes to Colorado.
Colorado's wide-open public spaces draw thousands of visitors every year. But underneath this beauty sits a resource the Trump administration is looking to extract.
Nobody has more liquid gold under their feet than the United States of America, and we will use it and profit by it.
The administration is now in the process of reviewing what federal public lands could help America reach energy independence. Colorado currently produces the fourth highest amount of crude oil in the country.
It's also just now a waiting game to see how they are going to go about this.
Daniel Hart and the National Parks Conservation Association reviewed energy maps and came up with this list of 13 national monuments they believe could be at risk for energy development.
Dinosaur National Monument, which straddles the Colorado-Utah border, is one of these monuments that we could be at risk.
Daniel says those impacts could be wide-ranging.
The noise, the dust, the contamination it could cause to waterways.
This week, Colorado Republican Congressman Jeff Hurd, whose district includes Dinosaur National Monument, introduced the Productive Public Lands Act, which he says would unlock access to viable lands throughout Colorado and the West and put America on a path to energy dominance.
But we do need to make sure that we're using those federal lands in a responsible way, in a way that maximizes the multiple use mandate that we have in federal law for outdoor recreation, for energy, for agriculture, and for making sure that we utilize and harness this great resource that we have here, particularly in the West.
The NPCA is urging Hurd to reconsider and says federal public lands should be protected from development.
Coloradans and Americans need to let Congress know how important these national monuments are to them.
Amen. And if these national monuments, these national parks, these national forests, even let's talk about our state forests and our state parks, people, are endeared to you, are important to you to preserve this for you, your family, and generations to come, let your congressman, let your senator know, because I don't think you really want to see an oil rig in the middle of the Grand Canyon, do you? I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I don't want to see that shit happening. No, not whatsoever. And, you know, all these different things going on. It's been real interesting. We last week had a video of what transpired at Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall meeting when they were dragging people out and tasing them and all kinds of craziness. Even though they had pre-screened some of these people to hopefully align a little bit more with what Marjorie was putting out there. But in any regards, you know, it doesn't seem to be just limited to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Byron Daniels, and he is a Republican out of Florida. I'm not sure what district he represents, but he was hosting a town hall the other day that kind of went sideways on him, too. Check these out. Maybe Republicans should seriously consider not even hosting town halls for a while until things cool down and Trump stops with the tariffs and all this other stuff that's firing people up.
It was quite a rowdy town hall meeting. Byron Donalds answered questions from constituents, but things got heated pretty fast. The meeting ended with shouting matches and a few people escorted out of the room by deputies.
You are not the only person who has a point of view in this room. Hamas would either bludgeon her or worse.
Hundreds of Southwest Florida residents packed the auditorium at Estero High School to hear from Congressman Byron Donalds, some in support, others in opposition. Byron's running for governor. What do you think about that?
Oh, hell no. That ain't happening.
He's really exceeded expectations, and we're glad to see he's moving up. He's kind of a rising star, and we look forward to seeing him as governor.
Donalds took questions on a wide range of national topics, more about Washington than Florida. Issues like Elon Musk and Doge, DEI policies, gun rights, tariffs, and Social Security.
I want to honor Mr. Byron Donalds. He likes athletes and people with special needs.
I'm tired of listening to lies. I've been apolitical all my life.
Do you think your voice was heard tonight?
No. Maybe somebody will listen to this.
By the end of the town hall, nearly half the crowd had left, many walking out before it was over.
I don't get surprised by much anymore. You know, you just kind of deal with it as it comes. I could kind of tell from the first question or two what kind of night it was going to be. But, you know, that's all right. It's part of the business.
I asked Byron Donalds why he believes he should be Florida's next governor and what he's going to do to help Floridians. However, his media team stopped him from answering that question. Reporting in Estero, Madison Adams, Gulf Coast News.
That was interesting. Why would they stop him from answering the question? That doesn't make any sense, yeah. So his media team says, don't answer that, Byron. Yeah, I mean, this is both sides. Hey, I don't care where you at, Republican, Democrat. I was born, raised Republican. My beliefs haven't changed in that. It's maybe I believe more that the actual party itself is kind of like strayed a little bit from the messaging that they used to send back in the 50s, 60s, 70s when I grew up. I'm showing my age, but I'm just saying. Things have changed, folks. Things have changed. And just keep an eye on more, not necessarily voting party-wise, but vote country-wise. Vote country-wise, because things, they are happening. And a lot of these things that are happening is, an invasion of our privacy. We've heard about Doge, or and Elon Musk and his team, diving on into Social Security and other departments. But as when it came to them going on into the National Labor Relations Board, which is the union that protects federal workers, somebody had a little bit something to say, because it almost appeared maybe there were some improprieties going on when Elon and his team were simply supposed to just take a peek.
Since President Trump re-entered the Oval Office, billionaire Elon Musk and his Doge team have been sweeping through federal agencies, accessing sensitive data as part of the effort to scale back the size of government. We're getting new information about the scope of that access at one independent federal agency. That's the National Labor Relations Board, which protects workers' rights to organize and investigates unfair labor practices. A whistleblower complaint filed by an IT staffer at the NLRB claims that Doge gained access to closely guarded data, including case files, and that could have led directly to a, quote, significant cybersecurity breach. That whistleblower, Daniel Baroulis, joins me now along with his lawyer, Andrew Buckeye. Welcome to you both. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So, Daniel, let's just start with you. You had been at the agency for about under a year or so. It was about early March when the Doge team arrived at the headquarters. When and how did you notice that something wasn't right, something was going on?
Sure. I was doing metrics review, kind of looking around, trying to do optimization of our own, because we're always trying to save money. And we were identifying different things, and we noticed something that was off. Me and a couple of different people noticed different points, but it kind of added up to a bigger picture. They're called indicators of compromise in the private sector. And so when I noticed these indicators, red flags went off in my head, and I said, something's up here. So I investigated farther at that point.
And what did you find as you investigated further? What was happening to the data that you saw?
Sure. At first, I didn't have a good picture, so I started to try to rule out possibilities of what benign could have caused these large exfiltration of data, could cause these large spikes of internal transfers.
Exfiltration of data, to be clear,
Sure.
You saw a large amount of data being moved out of the NLRB system. Is that right?
That's correct, leaving a network interface that faces towards the public internet, something that would only occur if you were to transfer a file outside of our secure system.
And that caught your attention. Why? I'm assuming that kind of thing doesn't usually happen?
It was very abnormal. There's a 200 or 300% increase in that time period as to what normal baseline is. So that's definitely unusual and warranted more investigation.
And in the affidavit, you say that you detected the removal of 10 gigabytes worth of data. Do you have any idea what kind of data we're talking about? Why this would cause concern?
Sure. So what that data spike correlated with was data that was transferred off of an internal record-keeping device that was only used for internal case data. So this system only has the private information about union organizers, the privileged business proprietary technologies, competitors, those kind of things are in that system only. There's no other data, there's nothing else except that. So that correlated data spike lined up at the exact time window and the same amount. And so that's what we can determine was taken, was data out of that system particularly.
So, Andrew, the White House responded to our request with a statement about this, and they said, quote, it's months-old news that President Trump signed an executive order to hire DOJ employees at agencies and coordinate data sharing. Their highly qualified team has been extremely public and transparent in its efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse across the executive branch, including the NLRB. So, Andrew, they're arguing this is all part of their work that they're doing to cut waste, fraud, and abuse.
If the administration is taking the position that having data exfiltrated out of the United States government and potentially into other nation states, if that's about efficiency and effectiveness for the nation, it doesn't make any sense. Within 15 minutes of DOJ engineers creating accounts, usernames and passwords within internal systems within DOJ, within 15 minutes of the creation of those accounts, somebody or something from Russia tried to log in with all of the right credentials, meaning they had the right usernames and right passwords. And the question is, how do they get that and why? The second question that I have is that why is it that from what Dan has seen, as well as others, because we have spoken to other individuals who are able to corroborate this, which is that some of the data is also using Starlink as a backdoor. And that's another way to get data out of internal databases within agencies. And Starlink has now direct access where information is likely, and we believe is funneled directly into Russia.
So let me ask you, based on the evidence you've seen, do you have a view about why the DOJ team would have been accessing and exfiltrating, sending out all of this data?
That I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to the why, because there are so many questions that would, subsequent questions that would lead to. Yeah. But that certainly is the questions, why are they doing this? Now, part of it may be, there's a component where this could be intentional. There's also a component where this is simply sloppiness. I mean, another thing that we have seen within databases within the government, as Dan will be able to talk about, is that internal databases throughout the government have been opened to the open internet.
Yeah, that's the key. Is these are not just my agency, these are Department of Treasury, these are Department of Energy, Department of Defense. So these are the critical systems that those agencies use that basically turn on the porch light for other foreign nation states to come on in.
And I need to ask you as well, Daniel, because Mr. Musk's own companies have faced complaints at the NLRB. We know he brought just last year a case to federal court, basically arguing that the agency structure was unconstitutional, arguing it shouldn't exist in the first place. Is there any way of knowing if the DOJ team accessed any information related to cases about Elon Musk?
One of the frustrating things about this is there's been roadblocks introduced along the way. One of the things
Does this all
have
sound like
access
super
data.
suspicious?
Those
or
logs
is it
and
just
records
me?
of what was accessed during that time are missing, and just coincidentally missing after the data spike incident. No other period of time is missing except that small window.
Missing from your view? Would you know if other people have access to that?
They were deleted entirely.
You were able to confirm that?
Yes.
Interesting. So Elon was taking a peek about some, and we don't know because some files were deleted permanently. Interesting, yeah, data spikes going out. Somebody's uploading to the cloud to, Starlink, and that's Elon stuff too. Remember, that is the system that he was going to make available to Ukraine, so that they knew positioning on the Soviet troops and stuff like that there. Interesting how it all kind of ties together now, isn't it, folks? So keep your eyes and ears open. I'm just here to inform, not to influence. But damn. Damn. Yeah. Anyhow, hey, there's a little something. Speaking, I want to have you keep an eye out on, and actually, because sometimes you'll see that magicians especially love to employ distraction techniques, right? Look over here while I'm doing something over there type of stuff, right? Yeah, and our government tries it all the time, too. Think about what's going on. Geez, it's hard to keep up with. Are we talking about terrorists? Are we talking about war over in Ukraine? Are we talking about possibility of war with China? And who knows what's going on over there? And we're going to start having woke things, and we're going to shut down our universities, not fund our universities. We're going to deport people. Wow. There is so much going on that you have no idea what's going on. It's just one huge distraction, like being overwhelmed in a hurricane, right? But in any regards, I want, speaking of being overwhelmed and something that you need to be careful of, is a particular distraction scam that's going on. That somebody just may be coming up and trying to be nice, or they may just be trying to scam you.
It's your lucky day. You're so lucky. You're full of luck. It's your lucky day.
No, it wasn't Sarah's lucky day. It was a setup for a classic $20 distraction scam. And by the time it was over, thousands had vanished from her bank account and her daughter's.
And this is the Ralph's I usually come to.
On Wednesday, April 16th, Sarah went to Ralph's grocery store on Satakoy Street and Louise Avenue in Van Nuys. As she was using her debit card to pay, a stranger approached her and said
that I dropped $20, and I said, no, I don't think I did. And I was putting my PIN into the machine, and he came much closer to me and was kind of pushing the $20 into my wallet. You need to back up. Back off.
It all happened in a matter of seconds. Sarah kept insisting.
And I'm like, no, this is yours. This isn't mine.
As Sarah walked back to her car, the same man, now joined by a woman, followed her, again insisting she take the $20. They continued to invade her space.
I knew it wasn't mine. The reason I was getting cash back was because all I had was a couple dollars.
Sarah left the parking lot feeling weird about the encounter. She checked her wallet to see if maybe they had taken any of her cash. They hadn't, but something else was missing.
My heart sank because my debit card wasn't there.
Within 30 minutes, the scammers made multiple withdrawals at Chase Bank several miles away. In total, nearly $5,000 was taken from Sarah's account and her daughter Jennifer's too, because their accounts are linked.
My money is gone and I had just gotten paid, you know, and I'm a teacher. I don't make a lot of money. I really don't. And what I make goes to the things I need, and we can't cover that right now. So it's hard to know that someone can take what you have so easily.
Jennifer filed a police report and shared the story online. She was stunned by the response. One after another, people commented the same thing had happened to them or their loved ones.
It's a huge violation, and, you know, I just feel, I mean, like I'm looking over my shoulder everywhere I go. It just is horrible.
Unfortunately, the description of the suspects is too vague and security footage has not yet been released. If you have been a victim of a similar scam or you know anything about this case, contact the LAPD.
So yeah, they do a quick switch, you know, cover, under the cover, sliding that $20 bill back into your wallet. They actually, you know, pull out a debit card or a credit card, whatever they can get their little sticky fingers on, right? Wow. So hey, please be aware out there, you know, be cognizant. There's always somebody out there trying to get your money one way and or the other, either legally or illegally. Hey, how about a little bit of feel-good moment? And there was and this hit national news, actually. A 2-year-old had wandered off from his property lining some pretty rough terrain, some mountainside, rivers, creeks, things like this and that. And he was had all kinds of people out searching for him. And miraculously, it wasn't exactly a people that found this young 2-year-old and brought him back home.
A moment of peace between a boy and a dog.
This was a story of faith on my side.
They didn't know each other 1 week ago, but now the pair shares a story that's been heard around the world.
He was actually going on a journey that we never thought was possible.
2-year-old Bowden Allen wandered away from his home in Seligman, unknowingly headed on the adventure of a lifetime.
Rough terrain, rocks, trees everywhere. It's very easy to hide.
The toddler walked 7 miles, avoiding wild animals and major injuries along the way.
We saw lots of coyotes
and there are places that he could have fallen and gotten hurt.
The Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team were out on foot, on 4x4s, and up in the air searching for Bowden through light and dark for 16 hours.
He is a very lucky young man.
Luckily, Bowden had someone protecting him.
I could see how he was kept warm all night.
Buford, the Anatolian Pyrenees, found the boy sleeping under a tree and guided him to the Dutton Ranch.
He definitely walked the whole way, and it was crazy. I got Buford with him for a mile, and I got in the rocks and I lost his track, but he was with him for at least a mile from my house. So.
In the week since the rescue, gifts for Buford have showed up on the Dutton's doorstep.
Toys, chew toys, snacks, you name it. It's just a little bit of everything.
And rewards for this good boy are still coming.
For all that he did in bringing this young man home.
The search and rescue team made Buford an honorary member and even gave him this vest to prove it.
It's very rewarding to our members when a search is successful, and people aren't really focused on who found him. They're just glad that they were found.
Things are back to normal for the Allen family.
He's just active. He's just exploring all the time.
But they'll never forget how this ranch dog saved their little boy.
I just look at a miracle, and I'm never going to forget it, so I'm living that every day.
Near Kingman, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thank you.
Thank you. And that just little touching story. And that doggy found so the doggy just brought the little boy back home. I can't believe that little boy said they traveled almost 7 miles away from home, but that dog brought him back to his ranch and got him to safety and hooked back up. How nice. I'm glad the little boy, was 2-year-old brother, was smart enough to follow that dog back to where he lived. He must have been probably really scared. In any regard, a little something I wanted to pass along, and this is a public service announcement for you, because there's some really interesting things that are happening around the United States lately. In fact, all over the place. And, it's been happening really in the past 6 months to a year. But I want to share this PSA with you so that if you know or have any idea how you can help out with this, please, do your part.
Ladies and gentlemen, a gruesome discovery. That's right, it's an abandoned human spine, one of many that have been found across the United States lately. But witnesses give conflicting accounts of whom the spines belong to.
I'm pretty sure I just saw it coming out of the Columbia University president's office, but I can't be on camera saying that.
Gosh, it looked a little straight to be Lindsey Graham's, but heck, maybe it belonged to one of these other Republicans who used to care about the Constitution. Well, I don't want to be a Timmy Tattletale, but it could have come from one of those corporate CEOs I saw burning all their Pride Month merchandise out here the other night. Folks, the authorities are asking for your help to find the owners of these spines. Whom do they belong to? You tell us.
That's right. If you have any idea, you are supposed to call 1-800-GET-A-SET. Again, if you have any idea, you call 1-800-GET-A-SET. Hopefully we can help out some of these spineless people now that seem to be everywhere. Anyhow, hey, let's get serious for a moment. And part of the craziness that's going around is, deportations. And some people may be on the deportation list because, I don't know, they're a supposed member of a gang. They could be a member of the gang. They could be a convicted felon, whatever the case may be. But a Connecticut woman, family born in the United States, her born in the United States, got a letter from the Department of Homeland Security telling her otherwise. Check it out.
It is time for you to leave the United States. That's the first sentence Lisa Anderson saw in an email she got from the Department of Homeland Security Friday.
The language seems pretty
threatening to whoever it might actually apply to.
She thought it was spam at first, but the email was very real after Anderson had it vetted. What created confusion is that Anderson, who's a physician and lives in Cromwell, was born in Pennsylvania and is a U.S. citizen.
I really have no idea how my email ended up on that list unless someone else was using that as a false email.
She now carries her passport on the advice of attorneys and is looking for representation from an actual immigration attorney worried about legal repercussions, something she never thought she would ever need.
I don't have anything to do with immigration, and I never thought that I would be needed the services of an immigration attorney either, and that's where I find myself.
This comes just days after 2 Boston immigration attorneys got the same email from DHS despite being U.S. citizens themselves. A senior DHS official telling our sister station, NBC Boston, that Customs and Border Protection has been sending these emails to people who do not have lawful status in the U.S., saying, quote, if a non-personal email, such as an American citizen contact, was provided by the alien, notices may have been sent to unintended recipients. CBP is monitoring communications and will address any issues on a case-by-case basis. Anderson is warning anyone who may have gotten the emails to take them seriously and get legal help.
It does make me concerned that there's a lot more people out there like me who probably also thought this was spam, who probably don't realize that they might have a problem.
You could have a problem. They could be coming after you. I mean, we've seen some people being deported without any type of due process, and apparently, according to the administration, with the act that he invoked, you don't need to have a trial. You don't need that. You have no due process. You can just be ousted out of the country. And we know about the one college kid, I can't remember what campus he was from, that they deported, and then he's out of the country. And apparently, I caught this news, and I wanted to share with you about another person, I guess, that should have been deported. I'm not quite sure how this worked out.
Breaking news out of Washington, where we have just received word that SEAL Team 6 has carried out a daring overnight operation, successfully killing a student protester. White House sources are confirming that 19-year-old college sophomore Evan Dixon was indeed executed last night by an elite team of special forces after his location was revealed to be deep within the walls of this University of Pennsylvania dormitory. Senior political analyst Jason Copeland has been in close personal contact with the White House and joins us now with the latest.
Thanks, Dwight. Yeah, we're standing by as moments from now, President Trump is expected to address the nation and confirm the success of Operation Sitting Eagle. It was late last night that President Trump reportedly authorized the raid, which sent 25 highly trained military personnel into UPenn airspace, commanding them to, quote, show no mercy.
President Trump, of course, has said several times he would make it his personal mission to find and kill Dixon after he claimed responsibility for a student-led sit-in last semester. Jason, what do we know so far about the actual details of the raid?
Yeah, it was a high-risk operation that was almost over before it started. We're hearing reports that one of the 2 Black Hawk helicopters used in this mission actually suffered mechanical failure upon campus entry and crashed into Quaker Kitchen Dining Hall, where soldiers did encounter some resistance from several freshmen and at least one 19-year-old RA.
Right.
Now, from there, the remaining SEAL team members stormed the quad before breaching Stouffer College House, where inside their thermal cameras picked up a shirtless, groggy Dixon surrounded by dirty laundry, textbooks, and it was then that President Trump himself made that difficult, harrowing call to open fire, subsequently taking out the dangerous English major in his clandestine dormitory bunker.
As you can see, hundreds of Americans are now gathering around the country to celebrate and to thank President Trump for finally putting an end to this national nightmare. Jason, what happens to this group of student protesters now?
Yeah, well, only time will tell, Dwight, but despite today's successful operation, the university system in the region still remains extremely unstable, still believed to harbor some enclaves of free speech, so I wouldn't rule out a full-scale ground invasion of all college campuses in the near future.
All right. Thank you, Jason. With many questions yet to be answered, ONN can confirm that President Trump has explicitly ordered the body of Evan Dixon to be dumped in the Delaware River so no grave could serve as a site of pilgrimage for other politically engaged citizens. Coming up next, more on the latest executive order that has many asking, should trans people be allowed to watch women's sports?
That's an interesting question. Anyhow, deportation. We're on deportation. I'm sorry, we got off topic with. Should transes be able to allow to watch female sports? Yeah, why not? I guess. Let's get back to the deportation thing. I got another message that I'd like to share with you as far as deporting people who may even be legal citizens.
Extra, extra! Trump deported a U.S. citizen who didn't even break the law.
No way! Really?
Yeah. Okay, but did that really happen?
Well, technically. He was an undocumented U.S. citizen, and he did break the law, but only in the sense that arson is still illegal. Technically.
Technically.
Well, I'm already feeling emotions, so none of those distinctions matter.
What? The story was a complete lie. A lie? Because of some technicality?
Technicality.
How about this? Trump deported a community organizer even though they were born here and never broke the law. Just because they were Hispanic.
Oh my gosh, I'm so emotional about that.
And when you say he was born here...
The world. He was born in this world. Human like the rest of us. Technically.
Tech in Italy. And he wasn't in a gang?
Oh, I get it. When white people do it, it's community organizing, but when a Venezuelan does it, he's in MS-13, technically.
Technically.
Yeah, seriously.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, you just want to blow that off? Well, how's this, you monster? Trump deported an aspiring nuclear physicist whose family had been here since the Mayflower, simply because he got a tan last summer and looked a little brown.
I feel I need to ask for clarity.
Clarity? I think it's clear you're going to hell.
By here since the Mayflower, do you mean he's of Aztec descent?
Wait a second. Do you mean he's of Aztec descent? I'm just screwing with you folks. Yeah, there's both sides of the story. Hey, who knows? That's why I say do your research. Do your research. You hear so much about all this going on. That's why I say it's complete distraction. It's hard to tell from the hurricane going around what's fact, what's fiction. Do your research. Yeah, just don't take one-sided opinions. Anyhow, I would like to share an opinion with you, as a matter of fact, on what's going on. And that would be one of our former VPs, and that would be former VP Al Gore. Check it out.
The scale and scope of the ongoing attacks on liberty are literally unprecedented. With that in mind, I want to note that before I use what is not a precedent, I understand very well why it is wrong to compare Adolf Hitler's Third Reich to any other movement. It was uniquely evil, full stop. I get it. But there are important lessons from the history of that emergent evil, and here is one that I regard as essential. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, a small group of philosophers who had escaped Hitler's murderous regime returned to Germany and performed a kind of moral autopsy on the Third Reich. The most famous of the so-called Frankfurt School of philosophers was a man named Jürgen Habermas, best known, I would say, but it was Habermas's mentor, Theodor Adorno, who wrote that the first step in that nation's descent into hell was, and I quote, the conversion of all questions of truth into questions of power. He described how the Nazis, and I quote again, attacked the very heart of the distinction between
Exactly. You attack truth. I was thinking about that one, from one of the earlier bits that we did here when we were talking about them being into the National Labor Relation Board's information and downloading that. And information is power, and then now they've got all this information as far as Social Security, and addresses, case numbers, whatever the case may be that they were sucking off the system. But again, the way to control people is with the power of data. You know, they can take away your money in an instant. You know, they can change your life in an instant. They've got all the information and resources now to do that. So be aware, be cognizant, and keep an eye on yourself. Hey, you know what I saw on TV just the other day, and I can't, I think it was maybe a silly question. Have you ever tried Domino's stuffed crust pizza? And everybody's like, yeah, and they're like, well, no, Domino's never made a stuffed crust pizza. Just checking it out. But we've made all other kinds of pizzas, and pretty much they came to the conclusion, Domino's did, as a franchise, that pretty much Americans will eat whatever the hell they put on a pizza.
Domino's Pizza Institute announced yesterday that they are nearing completion of their 30-year study testing the limits of what human beings will eat.
People willingly ate everything our lab created. In fact, they pay money for it. The results continue to surprise me.
Over the course of the study, Domino's scientists have found that decreasing the nutritional value and increasing the visual repulsiveness of their pizzas only makes them more popular.
This applies to the crispy melt pizza. It's basically one pizza inverted on top of another pizza. It looks like something no animal should consume, much less a human.
One recent creation is constructed out of a cardboard-based crust layered in Oreo cookie crumbs and drizzled with a wax-like substance.
We hypothesized that the sight of it alone would repulse customers, but it became one of the most popular items on the menu.
The Domino's scientists now believe that a certain percentage of human beings may have a genetic predisposition to eat unhealthy foods made from other, even unhealthier foods. The Institute will next test human tolerance of the crispy nacho platter pizza, the big New York hot dog pizza, and the strawberries and cream milkshake dessert pizza.
In the final stages of the study, we plan to just top the pizzas with actual garbage, but judging from our findings, people will probably eat those too.
Dr. Morris said he initially had moral issues with conducting the tests on humans, but has since come to see the subjects as, quote, cheese and sauce consuming beasts. In international news, the equivalent of 5 Americans were killed in Afghanistan today.
So what do you think? That looked super disgusting. Oh, hey, let's roll. Let's take a U-turn back to serious for just 1 second. And I'm sure everybody's heard by now that the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, she's the head of Department of Homeland Security, had her purse stolen over the weekend, and her purse had a massive amount of cash, as well as some other articles in it. But interestingly enough, she was with her Secret Service crew when this all transpired, when somebody apparently came up and snatched the purse from her. And I'm like, you know, how does that happen when you have Secret Service right by you? And then I kind of went back and said, well, you know, my God, we've wait. How many attempts did they have on, you know, our POTUS, you know, and Secret Service was already aware that, yeah, what that guy was in the area that took the pop shot at him that when it took his ear off. And I really have my questions sometimes about Secret Service. I mean, serve and protect, I'm not quite sure what they're doing. But in any regards, you know, what happened over the weekend is quite astonishing to me, and even more astonishing is they're not really releasing a whole lot of information about the whole thing.
The U.S. Secret Service releasing a photo to law enforcement of the man suspected of stealing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse Sunday night, but they're not releasing it to the public. Noem was eating at Capitol Burger with her kids and grandkids Sunday when sources tell News 4 a man wearing an N95 mask stole her purse from beneath the table. Noem had nearly $3,000 in cash. She had credit cards, keys, her DHS ID card, and a lot more in that bag. Her Secret Service detail was also inside the restaurant, and they were less than 20 feet away from her when this happened. So far, sources say investigators have looked at surveillance video from inside and outside the restaurant, for that matter, including nearby traffic cameras. The Secret Service sent a photo of the suspect to all D.C. area police agencies last night. While they try to find the suspect, they are also trying to figure out if it was random or a threat specifically that was targeted or aimed at the secretary. DHS did not respond to News 4's request for a copy of the suspect's photo.
Well, no, they haven't released it to just, yeah, that's kind of strange. And I mean, it could be somebody that was stalking her, that's a possibility. That's why they're not releasing it. But in any regards, like I said, how can you have Secret Service right by the person and some shit like that could transpire? Wow. Sometimes I wonder about, how government runs altogether. And that's, so there's your Department of Homeland Security. And then you have Hegseth. Pete was back in the news again over the weekend because apparently he was on a second one of those signal chat calls about when they did the raid, the bombing raid, and apparently his wife and brother-in-law was on the chat line with him or some garbage like that. Who knows? That is the allegations that are out there. Although listening, he's denied it, but who knows? Who knows? Again, hey, all kinds of distractions to keep you from figuring out what the hell is really going on. And we'll get to the core of that sooner or later. We're going to hit and we're going to figure out really, really, really what's going on. But I'll tell you what's going on, and it's not the first. Every president since the beginning of, since Washington took office, has made some really interesting presidential goofs, and so that we are not, we can be bipartisan, and it doesn't matter what your political affiliation may be. Your president, because they've changed parties over the years, but even since it's the foundation of our country, has been making some seriously stupid mistakes.
George Washington signed the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793, strengthening slavery's legal foundation. John Adams passed the Alien and Sedition Acts, curbing free speech and targeting political opponents. Thomas Jefferson imposed the Embargo Act of 1807, devastating the U.S. economy. James Madison led the U.S. into the poorly prepared War of 1812, which nearly ended disastrously. James Monroe allowed the Missouri Compromise, deepening sectional tensions over slavery. John Quincy Adams failed to effectively work with Congress, rendering his presidency largely ineffective. Andrew Jackson enforced the Indian Removal Act, leading to the Trail of Tears and mass suffering. Martin Van Buren mishandled the Panic of 1837, worsening a major economic depression. William Henry Harrison gave a needlessly long inaugural speech in bad weather, got sick, and died a month later. John Tyler alienated both parties, leaving him politically isolated and ineffective. James K. Polk provoked the Mexican-American War, igniting long-term conflict over slavery expansion. Zachary Taylor took no clear stance on slavery, increasing national tension before his sudden death. Millard Fillmore signed the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, infuriating abolitionists and emboldening the South. Franklin Pierce backed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, fueling violent conflict and sectional division. James Buchanan did nothing as the country fractured, failing to prevent the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus, raising concerns about constitutional overreach. Andrew Johnson opposed Reconstruction efforts, enabling Southern resistance and racial violence. Ulysses S. Grant allowed massive corruption scandals to flourish in his administration. Rutherford B. Hayes ended Reconstruction by withdrawing federal troops, abandoning Southern black citizens. James A. Garfield failed to address the patronage system, which ultimately led to his assassination. Chester A. Arthur initially supported the spoils system that bred government corruption. Grover Cleveland opposed pension expansion for Civil War veterans, costing him support from a key voter base. Benjamin Harrison spent down the Treasury surplus and raised tariffs, contributing to a Democratic landslide. Grover Cleveland mishandled the Panic of 1893 with a rigid gold standard stance, worsening the economic crisis. William McKinley annexed the Philippines, leading to a brutal and controversial war. Theodore Roosevelt undermined his successor Taft, splitting the GOP and helping Democrats win. William Howard Taft alienated progressives by siding with conservatives, fracturing his support base. Woodrow Wilson opposed the Treaty of Versailles Compromise, dooming U.S. entry into the League of Nations. Warren G. Harding appointed corrupt cronies who created the Teapot Dome scandal. Calvin Coolidge ignored signs of a coming economic collapse by overvaluing laissez-faire economics. Herbert Hoover failed to take strong federal action during the Great Depression's onset. Franklin D. Roosevelt interned over 100,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. Harry S. Truman entered the Korean War without a congressional declaration, setting a controversial precedent. Dwight D. Eisenhower failed to confront McCarthyism and early civil rights resistance more decisively. John F. Kennedy approved the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, humiliating U.S. foreign policy. Lyndon B. Johnson escalated the Vietnam War disastrously despite growing public opposition. Richard Nixon covered up the Watergate scandal, leading to his resignation. Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, sparking public outrage and distrust. Jimmy Carter mishandled the Iran hostage crisis, damaging his credibility. Ronald Reagan allowed the Iran-Contra affair to happen under his administration. George H.W. Bush broke his no new taxes pledge, hurting his re-election chances. Bill Clinton lied under oath about an affair, leading to impeachment. George W. Bush invaded Iraq based on faulty intelligence, destabilizing the region. Barack Obama failed to act decisively on Syria after drawing a red line on chemical weapons. Donald Trump incited and mishandled the events leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot. Joe Biden oversaw a chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, undermining U.S. credibility abroad. Donald Trump launched a trade war with China by imposing sweeping tariffs, which hurt U.S. consumers.
Yes, let's hear it for our presidents. Thank you all for your multiple failures. We certainly have felt the effects. And okay, anyhow, hey, to be fair, yeah, the presidency, being president ain't easy, folks. But hey, I'll tell you what, you know what else ain't easy? Sometimes being a mule ain't easy. I'm serious. But I'm going to get to that. But before I get to the somebody being a mule, that'd be somebody that moves drugs. I got to have a quick public service announcement again that I caught off of the news that I want to share with you because you may be in the need of exactly what they're talking about.
Now, you've probably heard the talk. Apparently, a perfectly good tire is just sitting there behind the Kroger.
That's right, Diane. The tire, which isn't flat or anything, was first spotted by Kroger deli manager Calvin Ettridge.
I came out for my smoke break, and there was this tire just sitting there. It looks almost new. I mean, hell, I take it myself, but I got a Silverado, and those need the 17-inch.
Experts like the mechanic who rents a room from Calvin's mother were brought in to confirm the tire's quality.
That's a good tire. Tire like that, at least $60.
Kroger security camera footage confirms that the tire had been sitting there for at least a day, which raises more questions than it answers.
I don't know who left that tire there. Someone left a rake, but they came back and got it.
Several people have made attempts to find the tire a home.
I called my nephew about the tire. He's a bank manager at Fairpoint. But I'm just concerned that someone's going to pick it up before he can get here. Now I don't dare. My doctor would kill me if I lifted that thing myself. I've got a bad back.
Mayor Sue Hallinan even weighed in on the tire issue, speaking to reporters earlier today.
We all know the tire situation is extremely delicate. Whoever snatches that thing up first, we all know somebody else is going to come forward and say it's their tire. Remember what happened when Mr. Davis put that couch out on the curb and then tried to take it back once he saw Toby already loading it onto his truck?
As of this hour, no one has claimed the tire. I repeat, the tire is still sitting out behind the Kroger. What do you think, Diane? You going to go after that tire?
You know it.
There you go, folks. So it's still sitting in there, to the best of my knowledge. It looked like a good 15-inch. So check it out. Anyhow, on with the show. And another one of the parts of the show that I'd like to share with you is kind of, let's call it, dude, seriously, what the fuck? And here again, I was going to talk about a mule or a person that moves drugs. And this particular person that was shuffling some drugs for the local, had to be a cartel, had to be. This woman had $17.3 million worth of cocaine on her.
At this hour, a Florida woman is sitting in the Jefferson County Jail on first-degree felony drug charges.
But that doesn't even begin to tell the full story. Her arrest stemming from one of the largest cocaine seizures in Southeast Texas history.
According to recent DPS numbers from the southern border, the street value of this cocaine roughly $17.3 million. The huge haul of blow found in a U-Haul trailer on I-10 eastbound between Brush Island Road and Hampshire Road in Jefferson County. The cocaine filling the entire corner of a room at BPD headquarters.
He said a
Tonight, the
whole lot of
investigation
blow.
just getting underway. KFDM's Trey Sanchez joining us live near Interstate 10 in Beaumont with this new at 10 report. Trey?
Kimberly Aaron, Interstate 10 is still considered a major route for drug traffickers. This morning, Beaumont police and a K-9 showed just how true that is. This towering display of cocaine weighs nearly 1,300 pounds. The seizure stems from a traffic stop at about 7:30 Thursday morning on I-10 East near mile marker 832. Investigators say the driver, 43-year-old Kedra Parker of Florida, committing a traffic violation while driving a 15-passenger van towing a U-Haul trailer. K9 Rip, seen here in a BPD photo taken several years ago, alerted to the presence of narcotics. A search revealed 12 black and yellow totes containing about 1,276 pounds of cocaine. Police seized the drugs, hauled Parker to jail, and began investigating to see how high up the food chain they can go. In the drug investigation, one of the largest seizures in the history of Southeast Texas.
That should be, seriously, that's a what the fuck, because that's a, what, 1,300 pounds of cocaine in between this van and the U-Haul that she had. That is a whole lot of drugs. Yeah, I can see where they were in the estimated of $17 million worth of product. That's crazy. And then she does something stupid like violates the law. Probably speed or some dumb shit. Got herself pulled over. You are never getting out of jail. Never, never, never. Oh, wow. Anyhow, hey, let's move on to another part of the show that I enjoy sharing with you, and that is the Asshole of the Week. And this week's Asshole of the Week happens at a taco shop, and this is a taco shop in just outside of the Chicago, Illinois area, and apparently tacos were either too good or not good enough, or I don't know, but check us out, folks.
A mercilessly speeding caught on camera, all stemming from a dispute over the check. Before fists flew, a disgruntled customer went behind the bar and dunked the waitress's phone into a bucket after she was told she would not be getting a refund. The restaurant alleges both customers had finished most of their takeout order when they demanded a refund. That same customer then takes her frustrations out on the restaurant. She starts making a mess of the place. Employees tell me the waitress began to call 911, escalating the situation into an all-out melee. The beating continued for about 2 minutes, where both women were seen stomping, punching, and kicking the waitress. I came in, and when I heard what was going on, I was able to pull off one of her attackers. When we finally got them separated, one of them turned to me and started swinging.
All over a $50 bill, and you know they're going to jail. You're going to be going to jail with the next to the your coke lady, so y'all can sit around and talk stories about cocaine and tacos and shit. Sounds like a plan. And while you're busy talking, hey, I'm going to conclude my evening and by saying thank you for tuning on in, folks. Hope you enjoyed it from top to bottom. And going into your weekend, I hope you have plenty of family time and some self-reflection time, self-improvement time, whatever it takes, just to enjoy life. And again, keep yourself informed, keep yourself above water, and until we meet again, until next Wednesday, have a great weekend and enjoy this little ditty clip that I got for you, and bye now.
Pope Francis met with J.D. Vance, then died. A man so heartless as VP, the Pope could not abide. The meeting with Vance brought him low, it really dealt the final blow. He said, I guess it's time to go, for evidence appears to show I failed, though I tried.
Well, lads, what do you think of the new album cover? Great, but it won't look good when it's shrunk down for a CD. CD? What's a CD? A digital compact disc.
Ringo, are you from the future?
Yeah, and I outlived 2 of you.
Which 2? Yeah, come on, Ringo, tell us.
Okay, but you all have to agree to do my song about the octopus.
Hey, before you tell us, I'm gonna go and smoke 1,000 cigarettes. And I'm gonna move to New York City and walk in and out of my building.
Amazingly, this drunk driver turns left into oncoming traffic. He narrowly misses hitting a pedestrian, who jumps out of the way just in time. Now the driver can add attempted battery to the charges. The driver turns right into the parking lot of a drive-in movie theater. At this point, the dinosaur in the back seat pokes his head up through the roof, and the driver places 2 small children on top of it. Now he's not only endangering his own life, but their lives as well. The driver totals the car and makes a run for it, but the pursuing officers are prepared. Running from the cops? Yabba dabba don't.